Hey, Coach, so excited you found us on YouTube. Couple things. First of all, go subscribe. We put a new video out every day. Not everyone will be the one you want, but it will give you a notification. Hit that little bell. Second thing is go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Videos, resources, mentoring, office hours, one-on-one calls, you name it. We've got it. Let us help give you some banners and put them in your gym. Let me help you do that. Go over and check it out, teachhoops.com. Let's head off to the video.
All right, welcome to Coaching Youth Hoops.
Coach,
How are you?
back for another episode.
Back. My Starbucks is empty. They are not sponsors.
I don't know how you drink. For you, it's 6 o'clock.
Almost a
No,
7.
It's 7 o'clock.
Oh,
You're
7.
drinking caffeine at 7 o'clock.
Oh, I drank a whole. This was a big one too. I don't even know what they call these.
I would
What's the
be
tall one,
literally.
Finn?
It would be up till 7 tomorrow morning if I drink coffee.
Okay,
late.
so here one of my
Is there a trick?
superpowers. This is
Yeah.
one of my superpowers. I could literally walk out of this room, out of the studio right now, walk under the couch, lay down, and be asleep in 2 minutes.
After that big thing at Starbucks.
Don't matter. I mean, the Collinses are very good nappers. We are good nappers.
And your mind rests after the caffeine.
Oh shoot! I was talking to my nutritionist because I'm trying to eat a little bit better, and she was talking about my sleep, and I'm not getting enough sleep. Which is
you're up at.
But I said when I go to bed, my head hits the pillow, and I wake up. There's no in between.
Yeah.
There's no like turning over, or restless, or what it's like. I sleep and then I wake up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, I'm pretty good sleeper once I'm out, but if I have caffeine in the afternoon, anytime after 3 my time, forget about it.
My wife's like that too, with chocolate and caffeine. It's interesting.
How many coffees do you have a day?
I didn't have a coffee today. This was the first one at like 6 o'clock at night. But usually I have coffee. The funny thing is I take black coffee to work, big cup of it, and I'll drink about 4 ounces of it. It's kind of like a safety net kind of thing if I need it. But anyway,
those cold Wisconsin mornings.
Look at all the stuff you'll learn on Coaching Youth Hoops.
Right?
You never know.
Learned about Coach's coffee habits.
My coffee habits.
And sleep habits.
I can send you my address if you'd like to send me some coffee. Won't turn it down. Anyway, before we jump in, I want to give a big shout out. We've been talking about it all month. We're going to keep talking about it. Our Facebook group, Coaching Youth Hoops. It's a great, as we were doing the last podcast and Coach was talking and my ADHD took over, I actually approved somebody. So we just got a new member while we were taping.
Awesome.
Coach.
Multitasker, you.
Yeah, I can do more than one thing at a time. I can do a podcast and approve somebody for the Facebook group. But it's a great group, great discussions. And the best part about the Facebook group is I monitor it. And, it's discussion. You're not going to get in there and find, I don't know, buy this jersey or here's some, creatine thing, or I don't even know. If you've ever been on some bad Facebook groups, they can get bad fast.
Yeah.
And then
I love our coaches in there. Great discussions, very helpful, a lot of knowledge, a lot of great opinions quickly. A lot of times as coaches, we feel like we're on an island.
Yes.
Right. And you turn to that Facebook group to get answers and know that you're not.
And know that you're not probably going to see the person that's answering it for you. They are probably in Wyoming and you're in Indiana.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
If you're worried about sharing stuff, you don't have to worry about it the odds are someone from your youth group is not in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
So don't be paranoid that you're giving away your offense. That's what coaches are always so protective of that stuff. But anyway, all right. So what's today's topic?
Today this one actually came out of the Facebook group. And I thought it was a good discussion for you and I to talk about because we've talked about something similar in the past, but consequences for your players, if they didn't meet a certain goal, or of course, if they're acting up or, goofing around in practice, but just consequences. Do you do them? Do you not do them? Do you punish someone if, punish the team if you had a goal of hitting X number of layups in a game or a percentage and they didn't hit it? When do you start them? And is there a right way and a wrong way to do consequences? So it's kind of an open-ended question that
It
way.
is a very open-ended question because there's consequences and there's consequences.
Correct.
That's the first thing. And sometimes the consequence isn't I'm a high school basketball coach, so I'm dealing with 16 to 18-year-olds who have more control over their lives. So when they're late, I hold them more responsible for them being late than, a third grader isn't necessarily driving to practice. Hopefully not. So I mean, some things are out of the kids' control, whether they show up for practice or they miss a game. So you got to remember, an 11-year-old doesn't have the control of a 17-year-old, maybe. So I think the consequence levels on things need to be big. There's big picture issues and there's small picture issues like misbehaving in practice.
Well, let's talk about that. Misbehaving in practice, just blanket. Yes or no, do you do a consequence?
Me personally, initially, no. I do a discussion. First. Yeah, I go talk to the kid. And I don't do it embarrassingly and I don't do it in front of all their friends. But I'm definitely going to do it so that they know that, kicking the ball across the gym at their friend is probably not the way to go. And, usually a couple of those discussions, it takes care of it. And to be honest with you, before a consequence happens, I'm having a parent discussion with the player, especially the youth level, because
let's just talk about little things I know too, right? So for example, if you had I don't know, the team screwing around. I think we all agree, just, hey, get on the line, let's get refocused, right? Gave you a warning, right? Let's go run. Right. Whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
What about you had a game, you wanted to hit a certain layup percentage, right? And you missed it. Is there a consequence for that?
A punishment?
Yeah.
I wouldn't give a punishment for something like that. No.
Some coaches do, but I wouldn't either. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's a punishable thing. I think it's a discussion thing, and I think it's a maybe reevaluate what do you guys then you gather them together and say, well, what do you think we should be able to do on this? And let's go practice it. And what do you think is a fair percentage for made layups or whatever you're doing, or free throws made, or so I think that can be I think you can go that way instead. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a different, but I don't think you're going to punish. I'm not going to punish a kid if they get a math problem wrong.
Well, what do you always say? You said something in the past. It's not a. Why am I blanking on it? It's not a consequence. It's a consequence of. It's not a punishment. It is a consequence, right?
Right. I'm not. Yeah. And there's different levels to that, and I'm not going to, there's levels of, punishment is not really me, it's the coach.
And we talk about, the other day, my team actually asked for, I'll call it consequences.
Okay.
They asked for more. And they said, Coach, we're not going to like it, but here's what we think we need. We think we need it.
We want you to hold us to the standard.
That's right.
We want you to do this, Coach.
Yeah.
This
is a seventh grade team.
Right.
That's asking for, and I'm like, okay. And so I do. And, of course, if there's, they're a great group of girls, very talkative. Sometimes that, they're not listening and they're talking to one another. And I'm like, okay, I tolerate it to a certain extent. But after this discussion, I'm like, okay, let's go on the line. Right. And then they run and they hate it. But they appreciate it afterwards. Right.
Right. Because they know they should eat their vegetables.
Right.
Like, in the long haul, it's going to make them feel better, blah, 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 blah. I agree. I think the days of you and I growing up and the Bobby Knight and I'm just going to scream at you and there's going to be a consequence for everything is not the
Yeah.
world we live in anymore.
No. No.
They're going to tune you out. You're not going to be a coach very long, and it's not going to get any results. I mean, I don't want my boss coming into my classroom every day and screaming at me. But if I'm not doing something, then tell me I'm not doing it. And what should I do? And how should I do it? And like help me get better at it. That's what I want as a professional. So why would a 11-year-old want anything different? Um, you know, and again, you know, we all make mistakes, but it's like
Yeah.
I think there should be there, you know, and if you haven't been to practice in a week and you miss the game, and then we play another, then we have another tournament, maybe you don't play as much, and that's a discussion. It's like, well, it might be not in the kid's fault, but the kids that were here are going to get rewarded. I'm not necessarily punishing you. I'm rewarding the kids that are here. And that's a discussion to have with that specific player, maybe those specific parents, because you're dealing with more than just the player, especially at the youth level, even more.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
Well, what about in the case of like you have a drill set up in practice and or no, how about this consequence? It's blue team versus red team. Red team loses.
Yeah, so that's a competition. So there's a difference
Right.
there. Yeah, everything we do with competition wise is like there's a winner and loser. Sometimes it's a burpee. Sometimes they have to go pay their teammate a compliment. You should see teenage boys
Yeah.
do that. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you lost to him. You have to go give him one nice compliment, and I'm going to listen. If I don't like it, you're going to give a different one because you know it's like, oh, I like your hair. It's like, okay, give John a real compliment. Like, come on, you can do this. Like, so sometimes it's a one-handed push-up. Sometimes it's a down and back. I always do something like that. I don't really even consider that a consequence. I consider it you lost, they won. Here you go. Like,
Yeah.
and sometimes we'll have like you lose this one. It's a it's a fun run. You know, in 30 seconds. You know, and that's they'll be tired after they do that. But I also want to maybe bring the level of competition up at that point.
That's right. Yeah.
So again, consequences are kind of like it's a unique thing. Like I'm not going to punish them unless I've told them to. It's like I'm not going to yell at you for being late for curfew when I didn't tell you what the curfew should
Curfew was, yeah.
be. That's always the one I go back
to. Oh, sorry. In the case of the drills, I'm sorry, we're doing a competition in practice. I set it up front, but I have them pick it. And if I don't like it, I'll veto it. But I just ask them, what should we do? Is it down and back? Is it sometimes I'll give them choices, A, B, or C, or something like, hey, what should they do? Sometimes they're like really easy. And I'm like, okay, you know, because they're like, oh, we might lose too, right? So we might have to do it. Like, well, I'll veto it. But anyway, I give them that choice of, you know, something they'll like, okay, you got to do, you know, down and back 4 times, right?
Right. In usually I put a time or something on it, but again, the point of coaching is to teach. You're a teacher.
That's right.
And consequences, yes. Consequences are you don't play. For at least for me, one of the biggest things is you don't get to play.
Yeah.
But that's different at the varsity levels. Like, well, the consequences you're going to sit down there. Like, okay, that's.
I always say that you're going to sit next to coach and take stats. You know?
Yes.
The one thing I did recently, though, that was pretty fun, and it actually drove competition a little bit harder, was the first, and we were doing kind of by 1s and 2s, half court sets we were running. The first, we just go out and play. The first team to 3 gets to pick the consequence. Now they're up by in this case, they were up by 3, right?
Okay.
So they were like, oh, we only have to get to, I think we were playing to 9. So they're in their head, oh, we just have to get 6 more points. So we're ahead. So let's make it tough because those guys are going to have to run because we're ahead. Well, they ended up losing. Right.
Right.
So that drove the competition up that much more for the losing team, because the winning team, or the team that was ahead, picked the consequence, and the losing team didn't, well, at the time, didn't want to do it. Right. So they're like, oh my gosh, we got to kick it into gear. So
Oh,
that
I
was
like
pretty
that.
a fun way to pick it.
Oh, I do like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that, Coach. I'm gonna steal
Yeah.
that. All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Until
Coach.
next week.
Next week. See you.
Bye.
Hey, Coach. So glad you enjoyed that video. Hope you did, at least. Let me know how I can help. Join Teachhoops.com. I've been through it all. I've won championships, got a lot of rings. Let me know how I can help you become a better basketball coach, too.